Hi, everybody. We're so excited to do this little demonstration with you. We are going to walk you through how to use the record book and then subsequently the student mastery report to meet with your parents in a connection meeting and actually have a really positive, goal-focused, celebratory conversation with your families. So Jen is going to take it away as she walks you through getting to that point, and then we're going to do a little role play to give you an example of how that conversation can go.
Okay, so we've started here on our Renaissance landing page, and if you hopefully you're very familiar with how to get here, but in case there's any trouble, there is a direct link set up in our ClassLink. So if you can get yourself logged into ClassLink, you can easily get logged into Renaissance. And then once you're in here, this is your dashboard. This is what it looks like once you get logged in. And then what we want to do to get to the report that we're planning to work with today for the connection meeting. And it's up to you whether you want to start on reading or math. I'm going to go ahead and just click reading because it's right there at the top. And we're going to want to go to the record book. And that's where we normally go to check and see if our scholars have completed their assessment yet, if we need to follow up with them on that, and then to check their scores as well. So as you can see here, this is my homepage here for my Compass Charters of LA scholars. And so let's see. And I believe we can also, is this gonna take me all the way back? Okay, good. One of them, I know one of them you click. I think if you change schools, you have to reset, go back to your find your class. But if you're just toggling between math and reading, you can do that up here to find those scores. For now, we're going to stick with reading. And this is the scholar we're going to choose today. So when you click on that individual scholar, whichever one you're meeting with, whichever one you want to focus on, you'll click the name and it'll bring you to their own dashboard here. Now, once you're here, you can see the date that they took the assessment, which one you're going to be looking at. You can see the score. And then right here, there's a nice handy direct link that will take us right to the report we want, which is the Scholar Mastery Report. So if you click that link, it's going to load that scholar's report for you. And this is a really nice way to see some details about the STAR assessment and how that scholar performed. So you can see some of the individual skills here, but it's not too detailed to where we might overwhelm parents and scholars with information. So it gives us a lot of places to go here in discussing the data, but hopefully not too much to where we may get into a more tricky conversation, right? We want to keep it a little more simple so that we can identify those strengths and weaknesses without going into too much overwhelming detail. So from here, we are going to go ahead and transition to a sample connection meeting where we will sort of role play and give you an idea of a great way to have a conversation with parents and with scholars to be able to show them this data in a positive way and a lead into goal setting. So take it away, Brenda, as our sample teacher with Casey Wingate and I as parent and scholar.
So Ms. Hobson, would you be kind enough to make the screen just a little bit bigger for me?
Maybe.
And whoop. So as Ms. Hobson, okay, and we just wanted to point out before we get started with our role play that you can get to this mastery report actually going into reports and choosing the student mastery report. There's two of them. There's a class mastery where you can do a side-by-side comparison of your students, and then there's also the individual student mastery report. The reason that we did it this way is this is really the most direct way we felt. You have to wade through a little bit more, believe it or not, when you go directly to the student mastery report. So as a teacher, we felt like this was a lot easier. So I am actually going to be playing the teacher. We would have had a conversation, not just an email, with the family and set up a time to specifically have a connection about the assessment results and moving forward, how we'd like to tackle learning opportunities, set some SMART goals, as well as celebrate, and this is really the biggest piece, is celebrate with the scholar and the LC the successes that we see, and also have the scholar be able to self-reflect. So I think one of our big takeaways we'd like you to have is we really want this to be scholar driven. If the scholar is younger, obviously, then it's more LC driven. But if the scholar is old enough and able to interact, and that is really subjective depending on the scholar. So you know your scholars. But if the scholar is old enough and able to interact that way, we would really like to see a scholar driven conversation where they're seeing and you're leading them to see their successes, and they're choosing what their goals are going to be and what they see as areas of opportunity to grow. And the whole focus is so that when you meet next month or whenever you meet again to look at their freckle data or whatever, you can start to show them where they're growing even more, and they can start to build that sense of confidence. So, Ms. Wingate and Jen, I'm so excited to have you guys today. I've missed you. How have you been?
I've been doing well.
Fine.
Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I'm super grateful for your time always, and I just love to see your faces. Ms. Wingate, I was curious what's been going on just in your personal world, your learning environment that maybe you feel would be of use for me to know. I love hearing about what's going on in your world.
Please call me Casey. I have been really busy with work. I haven't really been home as much as I wanted. So I've been kind of having Jen do a lot of independent work, and we check in at night. Jen's reading a lot, which is great. But you know, she's kind of working independently at home. She is in 10th grade, so I'm kind of giving her a lot of responsibility and independence.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, things have been a little busy on my end. I've been working a lot.
So I hear you saying that you've had to really apply a lot of organization and pre-planning to really get through all the things that both of you have to accomplish, schoolwork and work and communication.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been trying to set up a schedule, but we haven't really been reflecting on how it's going, honestly. So I think we need to sit down and do that.
Well, if you'd be open to it, and if you would like this, if you feel like it would be helpful, we could definitely set a separate time, and you could tell me what you're thinking in terms of your schedule, and maybe, you know, challenges, things you already feel like you've got down. And if there's areas you feel like I might be able to give you some input and brainstorm with you, I'd be more than happy to do that. I would love it.
Excellent. I'm definitely open to that. That would be really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, we'll make sure to do that. All right, so today what we want to do, really the very first thing we want to do is to celebrate Jen's successes. You know, we've had these conversations before, so you kind of have had an idea of her baseline. And as we're looking at this initial data, as we're going into the school year, we're going to be using this basically as a baseline to be able to celebrate the growth over the course of the school year, which is, you know, just so much fun. And we've been able to do that before. So the cool thing I like about this specific screen display is it's breaking down the reading test into specific domains. So instead of just giving an overall reading score that may or may not be a strong score, it's actually showing specific areas she's strong, and then specific areas where we can set some goals and celebrate that growth over the course of the year. So if you were to look at this report, just well, as you're looking at this report initially, just as the LC, what are some things that stand out to you or maybe confusing? Do you see some positives here that you are excited about and that maybe even track with what you're experiencing?
Honestly, I'm pretty concerned from what I'm looking at. I see a lot of scores in the red, and I'm concerned as a parent that my daughter is not on grade level. So I'm seeing a lot of, you know, areas that there are gaps in. And I know, like I said before, Jen is reading every day. So I was hoping to see, you know, a lot of growth in a lot of areas in the green, and I'm not seeing that. You know, I see a couple areas in the yellow, but I'm pretty concerned by this report.
Well, I'm really excited that you said that, which probably takes you by surprise. But first, I love how involved you are as a parent, even with your work schedule. That concern tells me that you're doing your job. And I'm so appreciative of that because you're paying attention. Um, the other thing that I'd love you to focus on is that we're at the beginning of a school year, right? So this is a diagnostic from the very beginning of our school year, and it's kind of giving us a guiding baseline moving forward to show us the growth over the course of the year. So this is measuring grade level, so the beginning of 10th grade. So what she's going to need to know over the course of the 10th grade school year. And so the areas that are actually in red are truly exciting and an opportunity for growth. I don't know, does that make you feel a little bit more optimistic about what you're looking at? You think about it in terms of those areas of red are really just showing what she's going to be covering over the course of the school year. And because you do your job so well, you're going to be able to see all of those places move up. And it kind of changes the perspective even about the yellow, because that means that that yellow is actually areas where she's covered some of the things in her grade level already. So even though she might not be at a mastery level, it actually means she's kind of covered some of those topics that she's going to cover in 10th grade a little early.
Yeah, I would like to hear from my daughter and see what she's thinking, and maybe areas of reflection, opportunity that she's thinking about, and just the feedback. Or I would love to hear some of her feedback.
Yeah, and that was the perfect segue because it's exactly where we're going to be headed next. And just before, Jen, we launch into that, I wanted to highlight, I am so excited and have seen in your initial samples, your craft and structure at 71%. That means your ability to put your pieces together, the structure of things, you actually have quite a solid grasp on that. And that was really exciting to me. You look down at the bottom under vocabulary. When you and I have conversations, that vocabulary piece was not surprising to me at all because your vocabulary is like off the charts and extremely well developed. And to me, this just reflects that because you are already moving towards mastery and it's only the beginning of the school year. So before we got started, I just wanted to really highlight that and celebrate it because I think it's awesome and not a surprise at all.
Thanks.
So since after looking at that, and when you're looking at this report, are there some areas that kind of, you already know this about yourself, you know that you have some opportunities to set some goals? And if so, are there a couple that really stand out to you that you've already been thinking, yeah, I'd really like to work on that and grow in that area?
Well, I think because I really do like to read and I read a lot of books, but I don't read a lot of I don't really read textbooks very much. And I don't really read like the newspaper and things like that. So, and I think that's like what informational text really is, I guess, is maybe things like that I don't really read as much of. So I think that's probably why there's more red in that area because I just don't really read that much. So I probably should. And I think that would probably help, I guess, maybe just practicing that more.
I love that honest reflection. And I think that's pretty normal, right? Especially in high school. It's not generally a regular thing to be reading heavy informational materials unless you purpose to do that. So I love that not only are you recognizing it, but you're willing to work in that area. And something we could do is make it fun and set some goals around finding specific current events that would really catch your interest and things like that. We can actually work together to create some small incremental goals that will get you used to digesting and reading through informational text, but by finding things that are actually interesting to you versus having to read stuff that you don't really connect with. What do you think about that?
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be helpful. And And I thought that the red was bad, but when I look at the top, it just says beginning. So I feel like I'm at like the top end of beginning. So that I think that's pretty good.
I'm so excited that you realized that. That was going to be my next question is, what do you feel like if you look at this from starting the school year is a success, and you're already recognizing that. So I just think that's awesome. There was an area up above, integration and knowledge and ideas. What did you think about that integration of knowledge and ideas? Do you even have an idea what that means, or what do you think it means?
Maybe like what I already know, and using what I already know to think about new things that I'm reading.
Yeah. So you're moving towards the proficiency level now, like right in the middle, which I think is perfect. If you were to set like just an initial goal in that area, what kind of pops to mind? And we're going to write all this stuff down together after we have this initial discussion. So we're going to make this much more, it'll be something where we can look each month when we're meeting and start to really see your goal or your growth and reflect on that so you can feel really good about it.
Okay. I don't really know. I'm not sure I understand that one all the way, but maybe maybe writing things down to maybe connect new things that I'm reading to things that I already know. I'm not sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, we will, when we sit down in our goal setting session, after we have looked this over, we're going to wrap this piece of it up, and we'll move into sitting down and just talking about some incremental goals in a couple of these areas. We're not going to tackle everything that you'd specifically like to work on, and I want it to be something that you're setting for yourself. So we'll, if it's okay with you, Casey, we'll move on from this point and just have a little bit of a time to work on some incremental goals that we'll review each month over the course of this year, that will be completely focused on Jen's growth and being able to progress, and then also brainstorm. So say next month we review the goals and you feel like you've hit a roadblock, both of you. So then we're going to brainstorm and figure out, okay, what went wrong? Why is it not working? And how can we adjust these goals or even completely change them in order to see that growth? So it's going to be completely a collaborative thing between us. Does that sound okay with you guys?
Yeah, that sounds great to me. And I like the breakdown of the informational text piece, because that's where my eye was going. All that red kind of scared me. So I really appreciate your thorough explanation on that. And like I said, Jen's reading all the time, but she's reading novels that she enjoys, not necessarily informational text. So thank you for working with her to pick out some pieces that she connects to or relates with or finds interesting, so we can work on that overall skill. So thank you for working with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I totally relate. I can't read, really heavy text. I have to, as an adult, an old lady, I have to work really hard at digesting some of these, informational pieces. So it's something that is an incremental skill built over time, and it needs to start with something that she enjoys and holds her interest. So I'm really looking forward to doing that with you guys.
Thank you, Brenda. Thanks for having us today. And we're looking forward to developing goals, and we'll touch base every month to see how it's going.
So I think Jen and I are going to continue this meeting. You're welcome to stay, but this next piece of our little connection meeting here is going to be really just student driven, where she's setting a couple of goals. So it's up to you if you'd like to stay or if you want to go. She and I are going to just follow up this little meeting with developing some initial goals that we'll reassess next month and revise, and just keep doing that over the course of the year.
Okay, sounds great.
All right. Have a great afternoon.